No. Okay. Alrighty then. So we are back. I have to go back out because my phone wasn't ready. A few adjustments here. I'm going to try to go ahead and get Charles Payne on. He is the host of Fox Business Making Money, I believe. And I definitely consider him the Jim Cramer of Fox Business. He just has a sense of a little bit of even small-time retail investors. He's not afraid to coach those folks along and give them tips. He has a subscription service, and I definitely think he is somebody who's worth watching every day. So that's Charles Payne. I'm going to try to get him up here. There he is, Charles Payne. Let's see what we can do. I mean, unless they don't offer full episodes, which that would surprise me. No, this is 325. Enjoy your no. It's not what we were, looking for. So. Wow, I mean, this is getting to be annoying. Why can't I type in the search? Type. I want to type. Let me throw this up real quick. This would be disappointing if you can't watch full episodes of Charles Payne. We're going to go ahead and put this up here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Trying to make an adjustment on the screen format. Being a little bit tricky here. Here we go. A little tricky, a little tricky. This might look, I might just have to add a window down here. Still getting to learn this. This is my first time using this particular. This is XSplit. It's definitely being a little bit temperamental. It'll let me move Charles Payne around, but not these other windows, which is interesting. Let's see how much this will work. Ah, sugar. Come on. So we can see them, but we can't hear them. That's not going to help me for Davey Day Trader. Okay. I mean, I have the sounds up on this window, so theoretically, we should be hearing this. Let's try something else. Cuomo. Still nothing. No sound. Says I might have to install some software to get the audio to work. So I'm going to go ahead and try that.
The Governor, Robert Mujica, Budget Director, also member of the MTA Board. Today's day 62.
Might have it.
Feels like just yesterday.
Yep, there we go.
Before we look at the numbers, I just want people to recall the context for these numbers and remember what we have accomplished. We were faced with a situation where the infection rate and those numbers were going straight up. That was only 30 days ago that we saw the number of cases, the number of people coming into hospitals, the infection rate, everything was going straight up. That number would have just continued to go straight up. And that's why all the projections, national projections, state projections, local projections, turned out to be incorrect. Excuse me. Because they were all believing that that line was going to continue to keep going up. What happened is New Yorkers, Americans, changed reality, literally changed reality. They literally changed the path of the virus spread and reversed the spread, and that's what the closed down procedures did, that's what the masks have done, that's what the socially distancing has done. And New Yorkers and all across this country, you saw that number change from that up trajectory to the downward trajectory. That shift in the trajectory
Now we lost Cuomo. Just trying to find a good spot for the camera. With this new kind of setup.
reduced by about 100,000 the number of New Yorkers who would have been hospitalized. 100,000 hospitalized. To be hospitalized, you have to be seriously ill. A portion of those 100,000 would have passed away.
Let's put on the shades.
So all this inconvenience, all this turmoil, for what? To keep 100,000 people out of hospitals. That's for what? And the 100,000 people into hospitals would have overwhelmed the hospital system, would have been chaotic. That's where Italy was. And a number of those 100,000 would have died. So remember that context. And not just
The hat's
for
all
the
crooked. I can't
retrospective,
make
but
that
for the
a It's like looking at a mirror.
Our past actions changed the past trajectory. Our present actions will determine the future trajectory. It is that clear. It is cause and effect. You tell me what we do today, I will tell you the number of people sick tomorrow. So every day we get up, every day everyone says, oh my gosh, I have to do this again. Yes, but what you do today is going to determine the number of sick tomorrow. And New Yorkers have continued to do what they have to do, and you see that number of hospitalizations dropping. And that is all good news. And that is a credit to the community and the social conscience and the responsibility of New Yorkers. The question now is, as we're on the decline, how fast is the decline and how far is the decline? How low will the number actually wind up? Right now, we're at about 1,000 new cases per day, okay, in the 900s. 954, 933, 970, 973. That's 4 days. Day before that, it was 1,076.
right there.
That looks like the number is flattening, is plateauing at about 900, 1,000 cases. 3, 4 days, 5 days, if you want to say, between 900 and 1,100. That is still too high a number of new cases to have every day. It's not where we were. It's a lot better than where we were, for sure. But 1,000 new cases every day is still a very high infection rate. It's still a burden on the hospital system. So we now want to take it to the next level. Let's drill down on those 1,000 new cases. Where are they coming from? Why is the infection rate continuing? Who's getting infected? And let's get more targeted in, right? We're fighting this statewide, but you have to wage the battle, wage the war
works.
on many fronts. It's a statewide battle. Now that we have it basically stabilized and on the decline, the enemy is on the run, the virus is reducing, let's get more refined, more targeted. And I'm going to be speaking with the hospitals this afternoon and say that we want to get more
Open the
specific
barbershops,
information
DeSantis.
on those new cases that are coming in the door. Where are they coming from? Who are they? To see if we can come up with a more specific target. If you look at the past few days where the cases have been coming from, this is a 3-day, what they call rolling average. But you see, 17% from Manhattan. Much of it correlates to population, but much of it also correlates with downstate New York. 17% Manhattan, 17% Kings, 12% Bronx, 11% Queens, but then 10% Nassau, 7% Westchester, Suffolk. So it's a downstate region, and then upstate, it's Erie County. So gives you a snapshot of where the cases are coming from, but we need more specific information to have a specific battle plan. Literally, where do the new cases come from? Are they essential workers? Are they people who are staying home and getting infected by a family member? Or are they essential workers who are still traveling and possibly getting infected at work? Where do they work? How do they commute? Is this a question of getting infected on public transportation? We just announced new subway buses, Long Island Railroad, Metro North, protocols. Where in the state are these people who are being transferred from a nursing
Of course,
home?
I'm a Star Wars fan.
What's their sex?
work for
What's their
Disney.
age? What's their previous health status? What are the demographics? Let's get more specific information from the hospitals to see if we can come up with a strategy that
They
is
gave me that one.
tailored to the reduction of these 1,000 cases per day. The number of deaths, 289, lower than it has been, but still tragic and terrible. And all the good numbers, all the good news, for me, every day, this number just wipes that all away. We announced a statewide policy for our schools. We did it last March 18th. We said that we were going to close schools all across the state, K-12 and higher education schools. We waived what was called the 180-day requirement, which was a state regulation that schools had to have 180 days of teaching. Schools then transferred to distance learning programs, meal delivery services, child care options for essential workers. That has actually worked out well, not perfectly. We had to do it in a rush, but there are lessons that we can learn here that could change teaching going forward and teaching in these types of situations going forward. But it did work. It basically functioned well. and teachers did a phenomenal job stepping up to do this. It was a hardship on everyone, but we made the best of the situation. Colleges and universities were also moved to distance learning. Campuses were closed unless a student really needed housing on the campus. Schools, obviously, by definition, have higher density. They have transportation issues, kids who are getting on a bus. We didn't have the protective measures to put in place. You have 700 public school districts, 4,800 schools in this state. Then you have 1,800 private schools, 89 SUNY and CUNY campuses, 100 private colleges, in total is 4.2 million students. So the decisions on the education system are obviously critically important. We must protect our children. Every parent, every citizen feels that. We must protect our students. We have to protect our educators. And given the circumstances that we're in and the precautions that would have to be put in place to come up with a plan to reopen schools with all those new protocols, how do you operate a school that's socially distanced, with masks, without gatherings, with a public transportation system that has a lower number of students on it? How would you get that plan up and running? We don't think it's possible to do that in a way that would keep our children and students and educators safe. So we're going to have the schools remain closed for the rest of the year. We're going to continue the distance learning programs. Schools have asked about summer school and whether we'll have attendance in schools for summer school. That decision will be made by the end of this month. Again, nobody can predict what the situation is going to be 3-4 weeks from now. So
They probably don't have air
stage
conditioning.
decisions at intervals that give us the information, but also enough time for people to make the preparations they need to make. So any decisions on summer schools will be made by the end of this month. But in the meantime, meal programs will continue, the child care services for essential
Most of the
workers
schools
will
I went to in
continue.
New Jersey
And
did
then we
not
want
have air
schools
conditioning.
to start now developing a plan to reopen. And the plan has to have protocols in place that incorporate everything that we are now doing in society and everything that we learned. We're going to be asking businesses to come up with plans that safeguard workers. When they reopen, we need schools to come up with plans also that bring those precautions into the schoolroom. And that's for schools, that's also for colleges, and the state will approve those plans. Related issue that we need to discuss and we need to pay attention to, this COVID crisis has caused significant disruption and many unintended consequences and ancillary issues that have developed. And one of them is when you have people who are put in this situation immediately with no notice, it has caused serious mental health issues. You have anxiety, depression, insomnia, loneliness, that feeling of isolation. We're seeing the use of drugs go up. We're seeing the use of alcohol consumption go up. This is a chronic problem. If you're feeling these issues, you're not alone. As a matter of fact, half of all Americans
What other choice do I have sitting at home
that
but to hit that
mental
chronic?
health has been negatively impacted. Don't underestimate the stress of this situation. And it happens on a lot of levels. 3 out of 4 say that their sleep has been affected. You don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. You don't know if your job is going to exist. You're at work one day, the next day they say everything's closed, stay in the house. You're in that house in a confined situation, or you're in an apartment in a confined situation. You can't get out. It's difficult. For emotional support, we have a hotline that is set up. People shouldn't be shy in any way or have any second thoughts about calling for help. It is a pervasive problem, and people should make the call and get the help if they need the help. We also see, in line with what we're talking about, a dramatic increase in the incidence of domestic violence. There was a 15% increase in March, a 30% increase in April. March is when this started, 15%, April, 30%. That is a frightening rate and level of increase. Again, New Yorkers in need, we have a domestic violence helpline, 844-997-2121. You can call, just discuss the issue. You don't have to give your identity. You don't have to say where you live. But people who need help should reach out. There is no shame in reaching out and saying, I need help. This is a national epidemic. It's a statewide epidemic. Ask for help, and we're here to help. We're especially concerned about these issues for frontline workers. I mean, just think about what the frontline workers are going through. Think about what the healthcare workers are going through. They're working extended hours. They're seeing a large number of people die. They're working in very frightening situations. They're worried about their own health. They're worried that if they get infected, they then have to go home, worry if they're infected, are they bringing that infection home? So this is a terribly stressful, difficult time, especially for the frontline workers. And we want them to know that we not only appreciate what they're doing, but we're there to support them, right? Saying thank you is nice. Acting in gratitude is even nicer. So we have a special emotional support hotline for our essential workers. And we're also going to direct all insurers to waive any cost-sharing copay deductibles for mental health services for essential workers, which means the mental health services will be free for frontline workers. And they'll be at no cost. And too many people, too many families have said to me, you know, I would go for services,
like this guy.
but I don't want to
Yeah,
pay
it's sensible anyway.
the cost. I can't afford it. I don't want to take that money from my family. That's gone. There is no cost to get mental health services. So just wipe that reason away and get the help that you need. It's even if it's even in the best interest of your family. Last point, personal opinion. Who said when life knocks you on your ear, learn, grow up, and get back up? Was it A.J. Parkinson? It was not A.J. Parkinson. It was me. Nobody ever said that. Just me. When life knocks you on your rear, ... learn, grow, and get back up. This has been a very difficult situation for everyone. But when life knocks you on your rear, learn and grow. And we will collectively learn and grow. We're going to learn many difficult lessons from this situation. We're going to learn about public health threats that we never saw before, we never heard of, we never really anticipated, we never actualized. Everyone talked about global pandemics and that possibility, but you know what, until it happens, people don't really get it. Our hospital system and how
Learn a
that
lot
works
about
and how it
freaking
works in an
pickpocketing and
emergency,
petty
how
theft, too.
teleeducation works, how telemedicine works, how you keep society functioning during an emergency, how you communicate to people the dangers of a situation without panicking people, because you still need essential workers to come out and do their job. You don't want to panic people where they say, I'm not leaving the house. But you need to communicate the facts so people act responsibly. How do you do that in a short period of time? What do you do about public transportation? We learned a whole lesson with the downstate public transportation system. So there'll be a lot to learn from this, which we will learn, and we will be the better for. I believe that. And that's part of life. In the meantime, we have to go day to day, and we try to make the best of a bad situation. You try to find that silver lining through the dark clouds. All of us try to do it in our own way. Everybody is struggling with it in their own way. And that's all across the board. In many ways, this is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. This impacts your life dramatically. But personally, if you work at it, maybe you can find a little silver lining. I'm sitting there last night with my daughter, Michaela. She's my baby. The baby is now 22. And she says to me, you know, Dad, think about it. I've spent more time with you now than I will probably spend with you in the rest of my adult life. I said, wow, what does that mean? She said, well, think about it. I've been with you for over a month. I won't be with you for another month for the rest of my adult life, which is kind of jarring because I still think of her as my baby. But you know what? That's probably right. You know, she's 22. She's going to go off, do whatever she does, and then you see her at holidays for a few hours here. Maybe you steal a Saturday once in a while. Reminded me of the Harry Chapin song, Cats in the Cradle, which was a great old song from a great man, great New Yorker, too. But these are, with
Uh-oh, we lost Cuomo. Just by plugging in my earphones, we lost Cuomo. I'll get him back here. No, this is not it. Maybe it is. No. Oh, that's interesting. I can't find him now. It would usually be right in the front of YouTube. So that was yesterday. All right, I think we got him. No Cuomo audio. No Cuomo audio. Dude, that's annoying.
Cause of death, they're saying it's uncontrollable.
Oh, wow. It worked for like a second.
Can figure out how to socially distance in a manufacturing facility with adults, and you can figure out social distancing, et cetera. To say we're going to figure out that plan
All right, here
and
we
put
go.
it in place in the next few weeks is virtually impossible. You know, you can't get, just think of a school facility, right? And again, go back to this room. You have 30 kids in a classroom. But with social distancing, you can only put 10 kids in a classroom.
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
then get another 3 classrooms with another 3 teachers. I can't. Cafeteria, at lunchtime, I put 200 kids in a cafeteria. Well, now you can only put 70 kids in the cafeteria. So have them eat in 6 shifts, you know, and figure all this out and get it done in a few weeks. And make sure you don't make a mistake, because we're talking about children and we're talking about them getting infected and bringing either getting sick themselves or bringing it home. So the stakes are higher.
You said in the past, though, you had said in the past that you can't get to a full phase 2 of the reopening unless you have schools open from a child care standpoint. Does that mean that we won't get to a full phase 2 in any area of the state by the end of the academic year?
Well, during the academic year, you would need to get to a full phase 2, the schools to be operational, right? You can't say, okay, everybody in the state go back to work, but the schools are closed. It'd be very hard for part of the workforce to do that. But you're at the end of the school year anyway here in a few weeks, right? And then you're in the summer months, and then the big question is going to be September. Are you ready to reopen the schools in September? And if you don't, then you can argue you're not going to be ready for a full business opening if you're not opening the schools in September. I think that's true. Let me just make sure everyone asks the
I have
question.
2 questions. I hope you'll answer both. First off, I mean, there's a huge protest. This time, there's 2 protests going on outside. I know you can hear this time because I can hear in here. So I went and talked to them. I wanted to know what was going on. One is Reopen New York State, who you've already heard from. The other is Citizen Action New York, and they are asking you to cancel rent. I asked the organizer how it would be funded, and she suggested that you tax billionaires.
Yeah.
Is this
Cancel
idea
rent.
feasible, and what is your response to that group of protesters that are lying down Washington?
Yeah, look, you have protesters in front of this building on a continuing basis. You think these are protesters. You know, there's several dozen. You come when we're doing a controversial bill, we have hundreds of protesters all filling the entire building. It's like the building vibrates with the chants. And that's, in some ways, great. That's democracy. People have an opinion. Last week, you asked about the protesters who wanted everything open. The other day, you asked about protesters who wanted everything closed. That's what you get. One day it's everything open, one day it's everything closed. My point is, I get their political opinion. I get the political spectrum. I hear them. I understand what people say.
It's whatever Trump doesn't
open
or wants,
everything
or what he doesn't
I
want.
understand what people say, close everything. You're going to kill my children. You know, so I get the arguments. And what I said is, this is not a political decision. Let's make a decision on the facts, et cetera. I get the people who say nobody should have to pay rent. I get that argument. I get the landlords who say, and the building owners who say, if nobody pays rent, I'm going to walk away from my building, and then it's going to be vacant, and I'm not going to pay any bills, because if they don't pay rent, I'm not paying bills, and then you're going to have collapse of buildings. What we're doing is, no one can be evicted for non-payment of rent between now and June. Period. Period. If a person can't pay their rent because of the situation, they cannot be evicted. That is the law till June. That law is in effect till June. And between now and June, we'll see what happens. We'll figure it out, then we'll figure out what we need to do in June. Last one, go
Now
ahead.
that hospitals have to report to the state where people are coming from when they're sick with COVID, their addresses, occupation, we're now 2 months into this outbreak. Why didn't we require that sooner when we could have tracked it more, I guess, feasibly?
We have some of the information, but this is now going to be an extraordinary, when I get on the phone with the hospitals, they're going to say this is an extraordinary reporting requirement, right? You had emergency rooms that were overwhelmed. You had administrators who were overwhelmed, working 24 hours a day. To get this level of granular detail on people who are walking in the door and get it to us on a nightly basis, this is going to be a significant administrative burden on them. Are they essential workers? There's no such thing as an essential worker before this. How do they commute? That's a question that I don't think has ever been asked of a patient before, you know. If you are an essential worker, where do you work? You know, these are not questions that the healthcare system ever asks. But since it's down to 1,000 new cases per day, I'm going to say to the hospitals, I understand it's a burden, but it's 1,000 people statewide. It's only several hundred in downstate New York. I understand the burden. The volume is a little lower. This is a little granular. It is more detailed than anything you've ever done, but it's important for us to get it now so we can come up with a more specific, targeted plan. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Summer camp decisions will follow the regional decisions. Whatever we do in that region will apply to the summer camp. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, yeah, Cuomo.
Good morning.
I'm going to go ahead and put on
Everybody knows Dr. Malat.
Thursday's
Zucker, Alyssa DeRosa, Secretary to the Governor, Robert Meade,
Mad Money, I believe.
also a member of the MTA Board. Today's day 62. Feels like just yesterday. Before we look at the numbers, I just want people to recall the context for these numbers and remember what we have accomplished. We were faced with a situation where the infection rate and those numbers were going straight up. That was only 30 days ago that we saw the number of cases, the number of people coming into hospitals, the infection rate, everything was going straight up. That number would have just continued
sugar.
to go straight up. And that's why all the projections, national projections, state projections, local
And,
projections,
Yeah, bear with me a little bit here.
Turned out
This
to
is
be
a brand new program.
Excuse me.
This is literally 10
because
minutes.
they were all
of me using
believing
it.
that that line was going to continue to keep going up. What happened is New Yorkers, Americans, changed reality, literally changed reality.
It's pretty bare bones,
They
but,
literally changed the path
I guess I am bare
of
bones.
the virus spread and reverse the spread, and that's what the closed down procedures did, that's what the masks have done, that's what the socially distancing has done. And New Yorkers and all across this country, you saw that number change from that up trajectory to the downward trajectory. That shift in the trajectory reduced by about 100,000 the number of New Yorkers who would have been hospitalized.
Shifty shift.
100,000 hospitalized. To be hospitalized, you have to be seriously ill. A portion of those 100,000 would have passed away. So all this inconvenience.
So we've heard from Mayor
all
Quad. That
this
might, I mean, it's a
turmoil
live stream, but I
for
wouldn't be
what?
surprised if that was recorded earlier.
Keep
Usually he's in
100,000
early in
people
the
out of
day.
hospitals. That's for what? And the 100,000 people into hospitals would have
Mayor-
overwhelmed the hospital
Governor
system,
Cuomo, I'm
would have been
sorry.
chaotic. That's where Italy was. And a number of those 100,000 would have died. So remember that context. And not just
I don't know if this one's going to work.
These days,
Let's try it this way. It's possible. No. Oh, okay. Oh, come on. All right, so we're in. No, we're out. Stay here. We're almost there, folks. Almost there. All right, should work. Let's go. Let's try this all over again. Let's see if we can get at least a live stream up. No, it didn't like that. Okay, let's try this. April 30th. It shouldn't be locked. I've given you guys.
Right now, staying connected is more important than ever, and fast, reliable
it's
internet
working.
from Xfinity can help. We'll ship you a self-install kit that makes setup quick, safe,
I'm
and easy.
I'm
No
like,
tech
where
visit
am I?
required. Find great offers and value today at Xfinity.com.
My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Kramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to educate and teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. How many job losses does it take to stop a raging bull? A bull that produced the best month for the stock market in 33 years? Well, I think we might have found out today. It looks like 30 million. Yep, just as we learned that we had the best rally since January of 1987, an admittedly inauspicious year, but not until the fall. And COVID cases increased by just 1.2%. That's the slowest pace this month. We also got some incredibly bad news. More than 3.8 million jobless claims, bringing the total to more than 30 million over the past 6 weeks. No wonder the Dow tumbled 288 points. The S&P lost 0.92%, and the Nasdaq shed 0.28% today. This was an explosive situation. The market was overbought, and we got hit with yet another Great Depression-sized unemployment number. That is not exactly confidence-inspiring for me. I don't know about you. Okay, even when we saw a great labor market like we did before the pandemic, I'd still be concerned that after this run from the bottom, stocks have gotten too hot. We're now at plus 7.2% in the S&P short-range oscillator. That's the one I swear by. This is the one that called the bottom when it fell to minus 20s in March. Anything above plus 5 is overbought. A 7.2 reading makes me concerned, which is why we've been selling for my charitable trust, which you can follow along by joining the ActionAlertsPlus.com club. Meanwhile, there are lots of people who are itching for an excuse to take profits. Today's jobless claims number gave them one, and there'll be a lot more bad news behind it. All right, the big question, does this market still have enough fire left in the embers to keep going? Well, let's think about what happened. What fueled this move from the market's lows? First, we got ridiculously oversold for days on end, and that's
So I don't know what I did wrong here. Kramer has taken over the screen. Here, we'll try this for now.
What did Verizon build their network for? People. And when people's every day is being challenged, that's when a network shows what it's made of. Verizon customers are making an average of over 600 million calls and sending nearly 8 billion texts a day, every day. Businesses are using Verizon's added capacity to keep them connected with customers. And when people are depending on you for those connections, what do? Whatever it takes.
My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now.
Hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Kramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to educate and teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. How many job losses does it take to stop a raging bull? A bull that produced the best month for the stock market in 33 years? Well, I think we might have found out today. It looks like 30 million. Yep, just as we learned that we had the best rally since January of 1987.
Oh, now I know why
admittedly
Kramer was locked up.
inauspicious year, but not until the fall. And COVID cases increased by just 1.2%. That's the slowest pace this month. We also got some incredibly bad news. More than 3.8 million jobless claims, bringing the total to more than 30 million over the past 6 weeks. No wonder the Dow tumbled 288 points. The S&P lost 0.92%, and the Nasdaq shed 0.28% today. This was an explosive situation. The market was overbought, and we got hit with yet another Great Depression-sized unemployment number. That is not exactly confidence-inspiring for me. I don't know about you. Okay, even when we saw a great labor market like we did before the pandemic, I'd still be concerned that after this run from the bottom, stocks have gotten too hot. We're now at plus 7.2% in the S&P short-range oscillator. That's the one I swear by. This is the one that called the bottom when it fell to minus 20s in March. Anything above plus 5 is overbought. A 7.2 reading makes me concerned, which is why we've been selling for my charitable trust, which you can follow along by joining the ActionAlertsPlus.com club. Meanwhile, there are lots of people who are itching for an excuse to take profits. Today's jobless claims number gave them one, and there'll be a lot more bad news behind it. All right, the big question, does this market still have enough fire left in the embers to keep going? Well, let's think about what happened. What fueled this move from the market's lows? First, we got ridiculously oversold for days on end, and that's what this is, okay? Days on end. This was some of the ugliest down to up volume, meaning number of shares sold to bought in terms of on the decline that I have ever seen in my 40-year career. And this, what I just call, is just unsustainable. That is just way too much negativity. After the spectacular run, that prop is gone. You can't seriously argue that this market's too pessimistic anymore. We've been rallying like crazy. Now, that doesn't mean we have to revisit the lows. I don't think we'll see this again. I don't. As a matter of fact, I think it's highly unlikely that that'll happen. I mean, you can only go so far, though, on an oversold bounce. Not here, but not there. Second,
Kramer's frozen.
when things got out of hand,
There we
the
go.
Federal Reserve decided
He's
to take
back.
a
He's coming back. Don't
Malcolm X
worry.
by any means necessary approach to propping up the economy. Fed Chief Jay Powell wanted to prevent the wave of bankruptcies that was about to wash over America, and he did it. He told us that if necessary, the Fed would even buy distressed debt, junk bonds, so that troubled companies would be able to stay alive. Once he made that commitment, those companies have had a much easier time raising money. We've had only a trickle of bankruptcies instead of a torrent. I think that is the right call. COVID-19 is nobody's fault, right? There's no moral hazard here. There's no danger of inflation either. This thing is devastating. Anything that minimizes the economic damage, I say, is worth doing. But we've known about the Fed's moves for a while now. You don't keep buying stocks on the same old information, do you? At a certain point, it's what we call baked in, okay? baked.
Oh, he's going to be frozen again.
This is baked in.
He's
This
coming
is
back.
baked in.
He's coming back.
Let's keep going. Third, we thought our healthcare system would be overwhelmed
It's my
by
fault. I
COVID-19.
keep touching
Thanks
that
to the
screen.
lockdown, that hasn't happened. We flattened the curve. We avoided the worst case scenario. But again, that was a reason to buy 2 weeks ago, not a reason to buy now. Fourth, until yesterday, we didn't have any drugs that could fight this vicious mad dog of a virus. Yesterday, we learned that Gilead's got an antiviral called remdesivir that gets you out of the hospital faster. That's really its stock in trade. It's not a cure, but it could be the first component of a cocktail that makes COVID a lot more manageable. Dr. Anthony Fauci compared it to the
one more
AZT
time.
breakthrough in the fight against AIDS more than 30 years ago. Fauci's been non-committal about every other potential treatment, but he sounded downright enthusiastic about remdesivir. And that's why the market exploded higher yesterday. Could we have more upside from this drug? Absolutely not. It is already baked in. We need more anti-pandemic fuel, especially when you consider that we're about to reopen the economy, and that creates a whole new level of risk if we let our guard down. There are things we could do to lessen the risk, but in most of the country, it's still very difficult to even get tested, including New York City. That's right, the worst hotspot in the country, and you got to cool your heels before you can even find out if you're sick. We have no way of telling who's been exposed because we haven't set up any sort of contact tracing system. Masks, again, not enough. CDC says that they're worth wearing, especially if you can get those fancy N95s. Costco just made masks mandatory effective May 4th. Don't go there without one. Since the crisis started, I've regarded Costco, not the government, but Costco as the gold standard here because I followed that company for years, and they genuinely take the safety of their employees and their customers more seriously than anyone on earth. Put it all together, and I think the good news on the coronavirus front, well, already priced in, which leaves us with earnings. Now, so far we've discovered that the quarterly reports aren't that bad, but that's because January and February were so strong. BC, before COVID. They offset a miserable March. The final month of the quarter and the little we've seen of April have been downright hideous with a few exceptions, notable ones like Microsoft, which is uniquely situated to benefit from the stay-at-home economy, or Facebook, which saw some green shoots in April. As we go through earnings season, I think these hideous March numbers will start to take up more oxygen as a prelude to an even worse April. Apple and Amazon just reported solid quarters. Both stocks got hit in after hours trading, though. Amazon much harder because, well, they had to spend a lot of money to build out new capacity and cope with the pandemic. How could that have been a surprise? Apple had to pull its guidance, though, and their sales are bouncing back in April after a tough March, and I thought the quarter was beautiful. But when you hear pull guidance, what can I say? People get upset. These are some of the best companies in the world. Apple boosted its dividend and buyback. Talk about conviction. And even though their stocks are having some trouble, I like both, okay? I would buy them. They're going to get hit, all right? I would buy them, particularly Apple, which I say own, don't trade. Don't forget, we got 5G coming down the pike, too. All that said, the rally from the lows, it made perfect sense, as did a big chunk of last month's crash. But now, the bottom line is we're going to need something new, something different. You know what? I don't know what it'd be. Without it, though, the market is simply stretched at these levels after a fantastic run. And if we rally without some new positives, and judging by the market's muted reaction to tremendous numbers from Microsoft yesterday and great sales from Amazon and great earnings from Apple, I'm not going to blame you, and I can't blame anyone since my Charitable Trust has been doing it. Ringing the register. Kyle in New York. Kyle!
Hey, Jim. How you doing, buddy?
All right, Kyle, how about you?
Pretty good. Got home from work, having a beer, doing all right.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's like
It's
the
all
old
good,
days.
right?
That's like the old days. Don't throw a
sorry.
party, though. Don't go having that much
No.
fun. All right?
No,
Okay,
definitely
good,
not.
good. I want to be sure you didn't have that much fun. All right, because I'm not. What's up?
So I bought Wayfair 5 weeks ago.
Whoa, then
At
you're a smart guy.
$25.96. So I'm up about 400%. So I'm wondering if I should dump it or just ride
All right,
it out.
listen to me.
or
Listen to
52
me.
weeks.
You take out your cost basis tomorrow morning, okay? I don't care where you take it. Just take it. And then, you know what? Take that money, and I want you to go buy, when the store's open, a cashmere sweater. You can celebrate with the rest of us. You can let the rest run. I'm not kidding. But I need that basis taken out. I need to go to Aiden in New Hampshire. Aiden,
Give me chill. What's going on?
I'm the chill man, although the wife is a little on the fence about the chill situation. Go ahead. What's up?
I got a question about Sabre Corp. In January,
Really?
they signed a 10-year partnership with Google to have them handle parts of their IT system.
Okay, yeah.
It's trading at 22 and change since then, and it's shot down to around 7 where it's currently sitting. Sabre provides tech solutions to the travel and tourism industries. So what do you think about this as a potential play without getting directly into those highly volatile markets?
I just, I can't go there. I don't know what travel's going to be like, and what you're doing there is saying, okay, listen, this one's so low it can bounce, and that makes sense. I mean, Carnival went to 8. Some of these things, Norwegian, they do bounce, but I'm going to take a pass. I need to go to Kenny in Kansas. Kenny.
Booyah, Jim. How you doing?
Well, Pop's name is Kenny. I always like Kennys. What's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Hey, so I'm a long-term investor, and I currently hold stock in AMC. And this week,
Wow.
AMC announced they will no longer be showing Universal movies
I
because
know.
Universal decided to continue releasing the movies on demand. So do you think that theater stock is a good long-term investment, or should this entertainment sector
I work for
be avoided?
Comcast, so I thought the high-speed numbers were great. People didn't seem to like the trade. I don't know, own the stock. AMC, no. I think Adam Aaron is a genius. He grew up about 5 minutes from me. But I'm not going for the hard money. I don't want to go for the hard money. I want to go for the easier money. AMC is the harder money.
Right,
Sabre is the harder money. And by the way, Wayfair's are hard money too, or else I wouldn't tell them to take a little off the table. All right, the market is just too stretched. It is. Let's just call it as we see it. It's okay. I've been pretty bullish. It's too stretched. We raised some cash. It's all right. No sin. Oh, man, buddy, tonight, most dentists are